Good afternoon. This is the NSU Land Acknowledgement Statement. Northern State University acknowledges South Dakota as the ancestral territory of the Santee, Yankton, and Teton Lakota, which is an alliance known as the Oceti-Sakowin, or the Seven Council Fires. Oceti-Sakowin is historically known as the Sioux by non-native people. The 9 native nations that share the state's geography include the Cheyenne River Sioux Tribe, Crow Creek Sioux Tribe, Flandreau Santee Sioux Tribe, Lower Brule Sioux Tribe, Oglala Sioux Tribe, Rosebud Sioux Tribe, Sisseton Wahpeton Oyate, Standing Rock Sioux Tribe, and Yankton Sioux Tribe. Northern State University acknowledges that before this land was called South Dakota, it was home to many native nations indigenous to this area. It is with profound respect that we acknowledge the indigenous peoples of this land, past, present, and future.
Friends and fellow citizens, I stand before you tonight under indictment for the alleged crime of having voted at the last presidential election without having a lawful right to vote. It shall be my work this evening to prove to you that in thus voting, I not only committed no crime, but instead simply exercised my citizens' rights, guaranteed to me and all United States citizens by the national Constitution, beyond the power of any state to deny.
The preamble of the federal Constitution says, "We, the people of the United States, in order to form a more perfect union, establish justice, ensure domestic tranquility, provide for the common defense, promote the general welfare, and secure the blessings of liberty to ourselves and our posterity, do ordain and establish this Constitution for the United States of America."
It was we the people, not we the white male citizens, nor yet we the male citizens, but we the whole people who formed the Union. And we formed it not to give the blessings of liberty, but to secure them, not to the half of ourselves and the half of our posterity, but to the whole people, women as well as men.
And it is a downright mockery to talk to women of their enjoyment of the blessings of liberty while they are denied the use of the only means of securing them provided by this democratic republic government, the ballot.
For any state to make sex a qualification that must ever result in the disenfranchisement of one entire half of the people is to pass a bill of attainder, or an ex post facto law, and is therefore a violation of the supreme law of the land.
By it, the blessing of liberty are forever withheld from women and their female posterity. To them, this government has no just powers derived from the consent of the governed. To them, this government is not a democracy. It is not a republic.
It is an odious aristocracy, a hateful oligarchy of sex, the most hateful aristocracy ever established on the face of the globe. an oligarchy of wealth where the right govern the poor, an oligarchy of learning where the educated govern the ignorant, or even an oligarchy of race where the Saxon rules the African, might be endured. But this oligarchy of sex, which makes father, brothers, husband, son, the oligarchs over the mothers and sisters, the wife and daughters of every household, which ordains all men sovereign and all women subject, carries dissension, discord, and rebellion into every home of the nation.
The only question left to be settled now is, are women persons?
And I hardly believe any of our opponents will have the hardihood to say they are not. Being persons, then, women are citizens, and no state has a right to make any law or to enforce any old law that shall abridge their privileges or immunities.
This speech by Susan B. Anthony was delivered in 1873 after Anthony was arrested, tried, and fined $100 for voting in the 1872 presidential election. She would not live to see the 19th Amendment guarantee American women the right to vote. Achieving this milestone required a lengthy and difficult struggle. Victory took decades of agitation and protest. Generations of women suffrage supporters lectured, wrote, marched, lobbied, and practiced civil disobedience to achieve what many Americans considered a radical change of the Constitution. Few early supporters lived to see final victory in 1920.
Hey, stop! Excuse me, but most people don't know this. But the years immediately following the United States becoming a country, women increasingly lost the right to vote. It took decades upon decades to achieve what we have today, and one amendment didn't do all that. 1919, the state of South Dakota grants women the right to vote. 1920, white women get the right to vote from the 19th Amendment. 1947, Native women get the right to vote. 1952, Asian women get the right to vote. 1965, Black women get the right to vote. In 1971, a year before she co-founded feminist publication Ms. Magazine, Gloria Steinem delivered an address to the women of America. In it, she said, "This is no simple reform. It really is a revolution. Sex and race, because they are easy, visible differences, have been the primary ways of organizing human beings into superior and inferior groups, and into the cheap labor on which this system still depends. We are talking about a society in which there will be no roles other than those chosen or those earned. We are really talking about humanism."
In Beijing, China, in 1995, then First Lady Hillary Rodham Clinton spoke to the World Conference on Women. Her speech included these selections.
Those of us who have the opportunity to be here have the responsibility to speak for those who could not. As an American, I want to speak up for the women of my own country, women who are raising children on the minimum wage, women who can't afford health care or child care, women whose lives are threatened by violence, including violence in their own homes. Speaking to you today, I speak for them, just as each of us speaks for women around the world who are denied the chance to go to school, or see a doctor, or own property, or have a say about the direction of their lives, simply because they are women.
If there is one message that echoes forth, it is that human rights are women's rights, and women's rights are human rights. Let us not forget that among those rights are the right to speak freely,
And the right to be heard. Women must enjoy the right to participate fully in the social and political lives of their countries if we want freedom and democracy to thrive and endure.
Let me be clear. Freedom means the right of people to assemble, organize, and debate openly. It means respecting the views of those who may disagree with the views of their governments.
It means not taking citizens away from their loved ones and jailing them, mistreating them, or denying them their freedom or dignity because of the peaceful expression of their ideas and opinions.
It took 150 years after the signing of our Declaration of Independence for women to win the right to vote. It took 72 years of organized struggle on the part of many courageous women and men. It was one of America's most divisive philosophical wars. According to Clinton, it was also a bloodless war. Suffrage was achieved without a shot fired.
On this point, Clinton is wrong. Susan B. Anthony was one of many women beaten, imprisoned, and punished for fighting to participate in our democracy. And that fight continues today.
Finally, with the words from Gloria Steinem's speech at the Women's March in 2017, let us say,
Friends, sisters and brothers, all of you who are before me today,
Thank you for understanding that sometimes we must put our bodies where our beliefs are. Sometimes pressing send is not enough. And this also unifies us with the many in this world who do not have computers or electricity or literacy, but do have the same hopes and the same dreams.
so don't try to divide us. Do not try to divide us.
We are here and around the world for a deep democracy that says we will not be quiet. We will not be controlled. We will work for a world in which all countries are connected. God may be in the details, but the goddess is in connection. We are at one with each other. We are looking at each other, not us. No more asking, Daddy.
We are linked. We are not ranked.
and this is a day that will change us forever because we are together.
Each of us, individually and collectively, will never be the same again.
For every woman and man who came before us to vote. Thank you.
Teja Claymore Night Imachiapi. Wambli Paha Elwati. Chante Washde Unape Truze. Hello, my name is Teja Claymore Knight. I am from Eagle Butte, South Dakota, and I shake your hand with a good heart. Metaphorically, that is, in these times of COVID. I am standing before you today, not just as an Indigenous woman, and also an advocate for Indigenous women, but as an advocate for all women of color. I have been graciously given the opportunity as well as the honor to shed light on the history of women of color and their right to vote. Native women were highly visible in early 20th century suffrage activism. White suffragists, fascinated by Native matriarchal power, invited Native women to speak at conferences, join parades, and write for their publications. Native suffragists took advantage of these opportunities to speak about pressing issues in their communities, such as Native voting, land loss, and treaty rights. But their stories have largely been forgotten. Today, in remembrance of their stories, I just want to say that on the 18th of August, in the year of 1920, millions of women across the United States celebrated and rejoiced that they were able to finally have the right to vote. And while that was a great stepping stone for women and women's rights, we have to remember that at that time, a large majority of Native American women weren't citizens to their own homelands. Not only that, but Native American women would have to wait until 1962 before they could celebrate the fact that all Indigenous women would have the right to vote. Black women would have to wait until 1965 until they had the right to vote. For Latinas, they would have to wait until 1975. I think it is unfair and rather uninformed that on the 100th anniversary of the ratification of the 19th Amendment, we don't know or sometimes forget and don't include all the history that should be included. In the words of Susan B. Anthony, sooner or later, we will all discover that the important moments in life are not the advertised ones, not the birthdays, the graduations, the weddings, not the great goals achieved. The real milestones are less prepossessing. They come to the door of memory unannounced, stray dogs that amble in, sniff around a bit, and simply never leave. Our lives are measured by these. Pilamae. Thank you.
Thank you all for coming today. And remember that those who do not defend and exercise their rights will lose them. So get out there and vote.